Hi, hello there, teacher. I hope you're having a wonderful day. So for today, I'm going to talk about my experiences, application process, and some tips on how to ace your demo lesson here in Engoo. So I've been working with this company since May 2023, so until now actually. So for some questions, it's really quite hard to reply to all some inquiries, especially I got so busy this day. So I'm making this video for you guys. So hopefully this might help you and with your application as well. So for the application process, the first part is the registration. So you are going to fill out the registration form and submit it. So after that, the video test. So for the video test, they are going to check your background. So make sure you have a plain background and a good lighting as well. So after the video test, you're going to have English test. For the English test, as far as I remember, yeah, they asked me some questions about myself, like tell me something about yourself, and some situational questions, like for you are going to act it out, like how you're going to teach this lesson or how you're going to teach this word in a simpler way, something like that. And yes, after the registration, after the English test, if you pass that teacher, wow, that's really nice. Good for you. Congratulations. You've got to the next part, which is training material. So they will send you some training materials. You're going to study it at your own pace. So make sure you read the materials well and try to take notes too. And some of their tips, there will be tips included in the material as well. So after the training materials, you are going to book for your demo lesson. Now, for the demo lesson, it has two parts: the daily news material and the free conversation. Of course, for the daily news, you are going to read an article, there will be some vocabulary, you are going to correct your students' pronunciation, and you're going to discuss some words or explain some words in a simpler way if your student doesn't understand it. And for the free conversation, of course, for this one, you're just going to keep the conversation, stay conversation going. So make sure that you have a lot of questions in mind already if you're going to have a free conversation. And if you have some experiences in free conversation or having like a small talk with your peers, that would be a great help for you for this part of the demo. Now let's start with the daily news. Daily news, the article is quite random, so I cannot really say that this article will be the one or will be used for the your demo listed. So here's an example actually. So this article is today's article, September 22, 2024. So it's a chair yoga, good for people of all ages, say experts. This is just an example, teacher. So yes, after for the demo lesson, you before you start your demo, make sure you do the audio check and video check. So you may ask, oh, hello, before we start, can you hear me clearly? Is my video okay? Oh, that's good. Or you can also ask if, is my video okay? Is my audio okay? Especially if your student is a beginner. So make sure your words are simple and short. And yes, after that, if the student says, oh, yes, it's okay, teacher, blah, 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 blah. So you can say, oh, that's nice. Oh, my name is Serene. What's your name? And don't forget to type your name in the chat box. So my name is Serene. Type it in the chat box. So what's your name? And the student will say, oh, my name is da 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 da. Or you can also ask, how do you want me to call you? Like, hi, my name is Serene. How do you want me to call you? So some students will say, call me Zoe-san or just Zoe. So yes, we say, oh, nice to meet you, Zoe. And would you like to do self-introductions or do you want to skip it? Usually, if you are already working in Go, usually most of the students will skip the introduction, especially if they've been having lessons in Go for years already. They usually skip the introduction. But for the demo, you have to ask, would you like to do self-introductions or do you want to skip it? So if the students want to do it, yes, go on. So you may ask, do you want to go first or me first? Now, if the student wants to go first, yeah, let him go on. And if the student wants you to go first, teacher, make it sure that your introduction is short. So this lesson is not about you. So this should be about your students. So make sure your teacher's talk time is lesser compared to your students. It is better to have a 30% teacher's talking time and students' talk time will be around 70. That would be the ideal one. Now, for this one, I usually say, my name is Reen and I am from La Union, Philippines. And as for my hobbies, I love cooking, listening to music, and playing games. That's my introduction. Thank you so much for listening. How about you? Now your student will introduce himself or herself, and after your students' introductions, make sure you have at least one or two follow-up questions related to their introduction. Usually it's about their hobbies or their work, or sometimes about their family. So you can just try to prepare one or two follow-up questions for that one. Now, after the introduction, of course, you have to ask first, or yes, you have to ask your student, like if they choose the conversation or daily news material. For example, oh, Zoe, I see it here that you choose daily news material for today. Is that right? Or you may ask, to check, Zoe, you would like to read daily news article, correct? So the student, yes, teacher, no. Yes, go on. So let's go to the article. So here's the example one, like chair yoga, good for people of all ages, say experts. So you're going to read out articles title. So I usually ask, oh, I see it here. You choose chair yoga, good for people of all ages, say experts. Is that right? So the student was like, yes, teacher. Okay. So after that, of course, the first part of the article is the vocabulary. Now, for the vocabulary, these are the questions that you should ask. First, would you like to start with exercise one or skip it? Sometimes, if the students are advanced level already, they usually skip the vocabulary part. So they go on to the article. But for the demo lesson, they usually don't skip the exercise one. So you may ask, would you like to start with exercise one or skip it? After that, you should ask them, would you like to read it by yourself or repeat after me? So for beginners, they usually, teacher, repeat after you, please. And for advanced, usually, especially for those students who wants to practice their reading skills, they would say, I would love to read it by myself, teacher. So let them, if they want to read it by themselves, just take notes of the mispronounced words. And if they have any questions, if they encounter new words, I'll teach you what does this word mean. So try to give the simpler word for that, and so give some example, like example sentence, very simple example, so that could make them understand it better. So yes, that is for and if the student says, I would like to repeat after you, teacher. So kindly ask, would you like to read all sentences or just one? Because yes, you can see there will be an arrow in which shows that there will be other sentences. So, like for example, the first word here is okay. Or okay, so this for this word here, it's a pose, position in which a person stands, sits, etc. And there's an example sentence. Usually, for other words, there are more example sentences. For some students, they would love to read all the sentences, but sometimes they prefer to read just one sentence. Don't forget to ask them, would you like to read all the sentences or just one? And for that, next to vocabulary will be exercise 2, the article. Now, for the article, the question that you could ask here is, would you like to read it by yourself or repeat after me? So, of course, repeat after me or let them read by themselves. And after that, you may ask them, do you have any questions? If not, go on to the questions in exercise 3. But sometimes there is no questions in exercise 3. So you go to the next part, which is the discussion. Now, for the questions, teacher, don't worry because there will be like a teacher's guide in there in which you will see the answers already, and in which part of the article you'll be able to see those answers. And it is not visible to the students, so it is only visible for the teacher. So worry not if you don't know the answer, it's in there already. Now, for the discussion, in here you're going to encourage your students to speak more, express their thoughts and ideas, or share some of their experiences, as well as for the further discussion. So it's quite the same. For the discussion, there's just some related topics that is related to the article that you and your students have read. Now, after that, you are going to give feedback, of course. Make it sure that your feedback has like what they call the sandwich method, like a good, like praise them first, give them the areas that are the successful, or well, yeah, compliments or the successful areas that they were able to do during the class, and of course the areas for improvement and some tips on how are they going to, or how will they be able to improve their English skills more. Okay, so yes, that's it for your demo lesson. And yeah, before I forgot, so during my demo lesson, I started with the daily news. So I conducted a demo lesson using the daily news material for 15 minutes. And after 15 minutes, or more like, yeah, 15 minutes, the staff asked me to do a free conversation. So as I've said, for the free conversation, make sure the conversation keeps going on and encourage your students to express themselves more. Now, for the conversation, you may ask, oh, like as for me, the staff said, oh, teacher, I would like to do some conversation, please, blah, blah, blah. So ask them, oh, yes, sure, no problem. Do you have any topic in mind? If nothing, so if no teacher, I don't have any topics, please. So you can try hobbies. Hobbies is very quite common. So let's start. Oh, that's okay. Or you could say, oh, that's okay. So the student says, oh, I don't have any topic in mind, teacher. Blah 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 blah. So you'll say, oh, that's okay. Let's start with your hobbies. Tell me more about your hobbies, please. Tell me more about your hobbies. So the student will talk about their hobbies and ask them questions as much as possible to keep the conversation going, and open-ended questions. Yes, open-ended questions. It is really important to review your or refresh your mind when it comes to open-ended questions, because that is really quite helpful in talking about in having a free conversation. Now, one tip for that is you can try ESL questions. So you really have to do multitasking, teacher. So as for me, I usually, if I have classes in Engoo, I usually open the Cambridge Dictionary. I have Cambridge Dictionary and another tab for the ESL questions. So in ESL questions, you will find there a lot of questions that you might use to ask your students, especially if you're having a free conversation. Now, for example, ESL questions about hobbies. So you may type hobbies, ESL questions, and you'll find a lot there. So be a resourceful teacher and try to stay calm and try to encourage your students to talk more. Or you can use gestures, or you can just say some phrases to make them talk more about themselves. Like, for example, they mention some of their hobbies. Wow, that's interesting. Tell me more. Oh, that's cool. And then they're going to talk about their experiences. So you may ask, oh, what is the most memorable moment? And something like that. So yeah, you may check the ESL questions, like hobbies ESL questions, or traveling ESL questions. You'll find a lot of questions there, teacher. So that's it.